Hello everyone, Daryl the Northern Vinyl Guy coming at you with a thread response video. As many of you know, been following my channel, you know that I like to do thread responses and different things like that. In fact, this is a vinyl tag video for Grahame at Kraken Vinyl, new to me channel. Seen some of the other 80s tag responses that have been done. And I thought this one was right up my alley. As many of you know, I am a huge 80s fan. It's my favorite decade in music. And so I couldn't pass up this opportunity to do a vinyl tag 80s thread. So here you go, Grahame. Thank you for putting this out. There are 20 questions that he wants us to answer. So if I look down, I'm just looking down at my laptop to answer the questions and to reread the questions. So here we go. 20 questions all about 80s music, and I hope that you enjoy. So question number one for this vinyl tag is, which 80s song had the best music video? Well, here we go. This is already going to stir up some controversy, I'm sure, with some of you, because as most of you in the VC, or many of you in the VC, I shouldn't say most, but many people, even historians of the man themselves, hate this song and they hate this album. But me personally, I think is as 80s as you can get. It is Starships, We Built This City. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is filled with 80s, just absolute cheese. There's another question later on that talks about album covers. This one could fit that particular scenario, but I got a different cover for that. So yes, I just find that it is one of the cheesiest videos and cheesiest songs of all time, and I think that it celebrates exactly what 80s music videos are all about. Is it the greatest video of all time? I think it's a cool video, and I think it brings back some nostalgia and memorabilia to the 80s. Question two, show an album released in 1983. This one was a little bit tricky for me, not because I don't have any, but because I have a lot, and I just had to figure out which one I was going to show. So why don't we just go with Madonna, Queen herself, and her self-titled album. Even still got the hype sticker on this and the shrink. I really should take the shrink off, but it is what it is. This is a self-titled. Of course, it's got Borderline, it's got Holiday, it's got Lucky Star. I've talked about Madonna many times. Almost a completionist of her 80s albums. I think I have all her 80s albums, and I'd like to get her 90s albums up until about 1998. I think after she did the song Music, was that in 98 or 99, started using the auto tune and all that. Just wasn't my thing, but yes, the original Madonna right there, 1983. All right, show a 12-inch record. I don't have too many 12-inch records in my collection, but why don't we go with this kind of a dance album here. Not too many people. I don't even know if I've ever seen this shown in the wild or in the VC. It's got one of those really thin covers, as you can tell by the rip here. But what is Sleeping Lions? Well, she was a dance, electronic, I should say, dance club type thing. And this is Sound of My Heart. I was listening to it earlier, and there you go. There's the Sony Walkman, or whatever you want to call that, on the front cover. But yeah, if you like, I guess, electronic dance music, 1983. It's even got the price stamp on it still, $2.96 at Dr. Disc. Yeah, how album prices have changed over the years. All right, show a one-hit wonder. Well, no one-hit wonder other than Taco and Putting on the Ritz, which is based on, a song, I think, from the 1920s or 30s by Irving Berlin. Very classy, cheek to cheek. That is what I think of when I think of Taco. And yeah, in North America, definitely a one-hit wonder. Question number 5. Show a record by your favorite 80s artist. If you've been following my channel, you know that my favorite 80s artist is Canada's Glass Tiger. I will show the Thin Red Line album. This is the one that had their one hit that went worldwide on the Billboard charts, Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone. But this album here, to me, has a ton of bangers. Thin Red Line is an amazing song. Vanishing Tribe. Someday, I Will Be There, You're What I Look For. All classic tracks. And I mean, it's got, we call it the 1980s Canadian sound. Call it soft rock or rock, whatever you want to call it, but definitely it fits in line with bands like Haywire and Northern Pikes and stuff like that. 1980s Glass Tiger, Thin Red Line. Okay, a dance floor, 80s dance floor banger. Well, this one's going out to Richard at Richard's Vinyl Tap House. I know that he likes this album. This is a stellar album. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. And Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. And of course, there is a song on here called Relax, which stirred up some controversy, but it was played at all the dance clubs in the 1980s, along with Two Tribes, I do believe. There's a few other songs that were on here. Yeah, we'll stick with those. But relax. Don't do it when you got to get yourself to it. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Okay, number 7. Which album cover is the most 80s album cover ever? Well, earlier I had showed this one, which I think definitely symbolizes all the cheese of the 1980s and the colorness and the TV stuff. But I didn't want to show the same album twice, so I'm going to go with Mike and the Mechanics and their self-titled album. And I think that this screams, those of you that are familiar with Max Headroom, who was on all the Coca-Cola commercials and stuff like that, the electronic character that was on there, I think that this symbolizes the 80s look. And of course, you know, even the band member there, and I don't know what's going on with all these components and stuff down here, but that definitely screams 1980s to me. And of course, you know, obviously those photo booths that you would see in shopping malls and stuff like that. It's kind of like the approach that the band took with the band member photo. So there you go. Mike and the Mechanics with the most 80s looking cover ever. Okay. Show a record by your favorite act at Live Aid. Well, I would have only been 6 years old when Live Aid came out in 1985, but I'm definitely familiar with a lot of the musicians and the songs that were performed there. And if I could go back to Live Aid, I would have loved to have seen Elton John. I'm just going to show his greatest hits because some of the songs that are on those greatest hits, Rocket Man, Benny and the Jets, they were performed there along with a few others. I think he performed like 5 or 6 songs. So Elton John, I mean, just would have loved to have seen him on the piano. You know, in his heyday, the 70s and the 80s would have been great. Live Aid, you know, great concert. I remember seeing, you know, the USA for Africa and all that as well on Much Music and MTV. Used to watch that with my dad when I was a little kid, so definitely remember that. Elton John, Live Aid would have been a great performance. Show a band with big hair. Well, pretty sure there's no band with bigger hair than Twisted Sister and the Stay Hungry album. I mean, Dee Snider right there with the long curly hair, you know, skewing up some controversy, I am sure. Of course, this went to, you know, not the courts, but right in front of the U.S. Senate and all that kind of stuff for obscenities, which musicians won. And there you have the rest of the band with their long hair as well. And this has, you know, We're Not Gonna Take It, Stay Hungry, I Wanna Rock, The Price. And my personal favorite one is Burn in Hell. I've talked about that song before, which is... Twisted Sister are featured in a cameo in Pee-wee's Big Adventure with Pee-wee Herman, where they're dancing on a vehicle, and Pee-wee's going through the Disney studios trying to get away from law enforcement or whatever it was. Can't remember off the top of my head, but anyway, the band makes a cameo in Pee-wee's Big Adventure with Burn in Hell. All right, your favorite cover song from the 80s. Well, this is a placeholder because I don't have the album that has the song. But the song Alone by Heart is a cover song, and I think that it's a really good power ballad. I know that Heart didn't really like this album and some of the other ones that they did in the 80s. Almost they went a little pop, mainstream, power ballady, which is much different than Barracuda and stuff like that from the 1970s, which was more rock based. If memory serves me right, I think it was a duo or a band called I-10. I think it was that initially did the song Alone, which once again, I think that the Heart version, because of its power balladish sound, is far superior to the cover version. All right. A Forgotten Gem. Forgotten Gem. I talked about this band here from Australia, Big Pig, and their album Bonk. The song I Can't Break Away was featured in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I think that for a synth poppy, industrial-ish type sound, this is a great album. A Forgotten Gem. I think that they were a one-hit wonder here in North America, but I think that most of this album is pretty stellar. I know that Mr. Hats down in Australia, he digs that album as well. So yeah, Lloyd, that one is for you. All right. Which two artists do I wish had collaborated? I'm not going to show any albums because I'm missing one of the members, but I showed Madonna earlier. I researched this. I didn't see any. I'm not even sure if they met, but I think that if Madonna and Whitney Houston had collaborated together, I think that would have been a pretty cool performance, even if it would have been just at the Grammy Awards or the MTV Awards or something like that. I think if they had collaborated on one song or one performance, that would have been really cool. Two of the biggest female superstars of the 1980s, might have even thrown in Janet Jackson there, but that would have been really cool. So Madonna and Whitney Houston would have been a really epic collaboration. Okay, Time Machine. Which act do you wish you could go back and see live? Well, I know that these guys are still performing all over the place, but I wish I could go back and see their live performance at Red Rock and some of the performances they did in the early 1980s, 83 to 86. And that is U2, especially around, the performances that were done on the Rattle and Hum documentary. Really cool live stuff. You can hear the power in the lyrics and the music on this album. Very, I think it's fantastic. Obviously a mix of studio stuff and live performances, especially Pride in the Name of Love. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Those would have been two epic performances that I would have loved to have seen if I could go back in time. I would definitely check those ones out. All right. A synth pop record. Well, it doesn't get any more synth poppy than this, I don't think, along with the whole hairstyle thing from earlier, and that's A Flock of Seagulls. Self-titled. Of course, there they are with, you can't really see their epic hair there, but they had the really epic hair. But this is the one that has Iran and Space Age Love Song. Just a fantastic 80s album, synth pop all the way, and of course, one of the most 80s covers you're going to see as well. So there you go, a synth pop record. Number 15, a song from a movie. Perhaps one of my favorite 80s soundtracks of all time is the Tequila Sunrise soundtrack. I've never seen the movie with Kirk Gibson, Michelle Pfeiffer, Kurt Russell. I've heard that it's an okay movie, but the songs that are on this, I think, are really good. Surrender to Me, Ann Wilson with Robin Zander is amazing. Do You Believe in Shame? Duran Duran's a really good song. Don't Worry Baby, the Everly Brothers and the Beach Boys. Beyond the Sea with Bobby Darin, unsubstantiated by the Church. Just a lot of underrated, I wouldn't call them bangers, but just a really good soundtrack album. Tequila Sunrise. There we go. Number 16, a Hairbrush song. So a song that you're not ashamed to kind of sing. The way that I interpreted this is kind of like an earworm, or you've got a hairbrush in your hand and you're singing into that. I went with Survivor, Eye of the Tiger, Rocky, I think it's Rocky 4, if memory serves me right. Very cool cover there with the tiger on the front. But Eye of the Tiger, I could see myself singing that. Getting pumped for the next game with my hairbrush. Number 17, an Urban Records show an album of hip-hop or soul or something like that. It's kind of a cheat because this one is from 1990. I don't have any rap or hip-hop from the 1980s, but first rap guy that I remember, and it's not even true rap. If I would have had MC Hammer, I might have went that way as well, but I'll go with Vanilla Ice and To the Extreme. Ice Ice Baby obviously stirred up a little bit of controversy with copyright claims and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, he thought he was tougher than he really was, but I like this album nonetheless, and of course it's got Play That Funky Music, Wild Cherry cover, and Stop That Train, Hooked, Life is a Fantasy. The second side to this, side 2 or side B, is utter trash, but first side, really good. Vanilla Ice. Okay, who would I like to see make a comeback? Well, he hasn't released an album in over a decade now. His fame came in the 1980s. I'm pretty sure that he's only doing like little singles here and there. He has no intention on releasing an album, and that is none other than comedian, accordionist Weird Al Yankovic. I thought he was a hilarious musician back in the 1980s. Love to see him. He had all kinds of epic albums in the 80s and the 90s, and even his lesser known ones in the early 2000s, although I think it was his last album was his most critically acclaimed, went high on the charts. So Weird Al Yankovic, and this is what's on this one, I forget now. Eat It is the big song that's on here. I Lost on Jeopardy, theme from Rocky the 13th. And of course he always does his polka mixes. So there you go, Weird Al Yankovic. I wish he would come back and make some more albums. All right, number 19, an album that I would play on my Sony Walkman. Well, I'm going to go with Bruce Springsteen. To me, this is a perfect album, if not a near perfect album. Born in the USA, I think every song on here pretty much is a banger. From Born in the USA to I'm on Fire, working on the highway, Dancing in the Dark, My Hometown, Glory Days. Yeah, it's all there. I think it's a banger. I would play it on my Walkman. And last but not least, my 80s crush. Well, like I said, when this album would have come out, I would have been maybe 8 or 9. But I always thought that she's kind of like the whole girl next door thing, and that is Tiffany, with her innocence. And I think she was a teenager when this came out. So at the time, it would have been my jam. And of course, there she is in the stereotypical 80s jean jacket and all that kind of stuff. Just did some lovey-dovey stuff, and I Saw Him Standing There. I Think We're Alone Now, of course, a cover. Tommy James and the Shondells. Could Have Been. It's all on here. So there you go, Tiffany, my 80s crush. Just for you guys. So there we have it, 20 questions. 80s vinyl tag. If you'd like to participate in this, check out the original video. I will leave a link to Graham's Kraken vinyl down below. And let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. What are your thoughts on these 80s albums? Do you enjoy them? And try out this tag if you haven't done so already. Wonderful. Thanks for the questions. And until next time, we will see you on the next video. Cheers, everyone.